Hey guys, this is Ryan. I'm here to show off my new deck profile that won second place at the first of two um, small locals that we've been having here, actually, here in Sonoma. So let's just get right into it. So first off, of course, the babies. We run 4 Upamon, because with Rookie Rush, you want to draw and just keep drawing as much as possible. And most of the time, because you're memory starving your opponent, you're going to essentially get this free draw and essentially have another rookie on board by the end of your turn so that you can potentially hit for one extra security next turn. And then for the final one, we have Demi Vmon because of his ability that happens when he is digivolved up into Vmon. Basically, when he attacks once per turn, he can like if the Digimon above him has jamming, you can draw one. It's basically like Ubamon, but specifically if it has a jamming specific Digimon above him. So basically, Vmon is usually the best option for this. You sometimes do end up having to use him, but it doesn't really matter half the time. But yeah, this is all you really need for the babies, essentially. So for the first rookie, of course, you have the star of the deck for Vmon. This is an absolute must. This guy is basically your heavy hitter. And there is a really cool combo that you can do with his evolved form, X Vmon. Essentially, you can actually restand him or just re-unsuspend him to hit again for a second attack. If you have another blue, you can just Digivolve on top if you have enough, and then just flip him back up, and he'll just get another second attack. And then for the second one, of course, we run 4 of the draw Goblimon. Pardon the fact that there's 2 and 2 here. I don't have the alternate artwork for these yet, but I will be getting them soon. Basically, this guy is just for added draw power, plus, an extra rookie. I mean, he is kind of weak for a rookie, but there is another rookie I run in here that's about 1,000 as well, who, I mean, essentially they're just there to either draw, well, this one specifically is for drawing, and then the other one is for searching, but you'll see that in a second. Let's move this up a little bit. Then of course we run for Electmon because this is a Rookie Rush deck and it is a blue deck, so of course Electmon is standard. I am running slightly different ratio of Penguinmon here. Normally most decks run 2. I run 4 because he is a 5,000 dude, and he essentially gets around Volcanic Dramon, which is basically the one card that will essentially screw this deck over in like a second, essentially. So you want to have bodies that are at least maybe one guy that is big enough to survive it, and this is usually my go-to for that. Then for the green rookies, that's all for the blue rookies actually, but for the green rookies, we have 4 Wormmon. Okay, so some people might be asking, why am I running this instead of Mushroommon? Because Mushroommon is pretty big. He's at like 4,000, and he's a 2 cost too. And this guy's only 1,000. The reason is his ability on deletion. Reveal the top 3 cards of your deck and add 1 level 4 or level 5 among them to your hand. Place the remaining on the bottom of your deck in any order. This guy is essentially here to swing and then just die and get the search off, essentially. And most of the time, about maybe like 75% of the time, you will go into a level 4 from him. So then you can use that to restand like Vmon or another guy. And I did actually figure, apparently, if you restand X Vmon on top of, like, let's say Penguinmon, it will restand him, essentially. Because it doesn't say that it has to target another rookie. It can just, or a level 4 or lower, it can target itself, essentially, to restand itself to get a second attack. So essentially, you're getting 2 attacks as long as that rookie survives. Then the final rookie we play in the deck, of course, is Aruramon. She is a 2 cost, 5,000 hitter, and essentially she's also one of the ones, aside from Penguinmon, that can survive a Volcanitramon. So always best to have it. That's basically all the rookies in the deck. Now on to the level 4s. We, of course, play 4x Vmon because his ability to unsuspend is really broken, especially if you combo it with Vmon. I'm only running 2 Gorillamon. I was running 4, but I had to make room specifically for the next champion, which is 2 Stingmon. Stingmon is essentially the green version of Gorillamon, except slightly weaker. But because you're already running 8 greens, you will run into situations where you need a green to digivolve into to draw. So this is in here specifically for that reason. And then that's basically all the champions we run in the deck. For level, we don't run any level 5s at the moment in this build. Essentially because you just want to get into your champions, digivolve, and then if you have any issues, you usually go into specific, very specific level 6s that will help you essentially get out of a jam. The first one, of course, will be Magnadramon. Magnadramon is essentially here to just heal you, essentially, because there are certain decks that will hit really hard into your security, and you're usually going to be left with like maybe 2 or 1. If you draw into this, you can just hard play this and then just recover, and then you have an extra 10,000 body on the field, essentially. Originally, I was running a Skull Greymon, but the problem is that most of the time there's only like maybe 1 blocker, and you can usually get around that through maybe swarming the field with rookies or just hitting them with like the option card Flower Cannon. So you can usually get around it. But with this one, it's just specifically for recovery options. Then for the last level 6, we run, of course, 4 Puppetmon. Puppetmon essentially will clutch a lot of games, especially if your opponent already has several Digimon already tapped because they have hit into your security. You just slap this down and you essentially stall them for a turn or two. And even better if you have a second one, because you can stall them for 2 turns and put out a bunch of rookies on the next turn after that, and then you basically win at that point. And that's it for all the Digimon for the deck. Now we go into the option cards. We, of course, being a blue-green deck, we run 4 Hammer Spark because hitting into your security and they flip into this, it essentially ends their turn. And then, of course, in some instances, you will need this to essentially play another extra rookie, which is always good. Then, of course, you're playing 2 We Have to Stop Fighting. I might be taking out this card because so far it has not come up at all. I think there's only been like maybe 3 instances in the last like 2 weekends that I've been playing this deck that I've actually needed this card. I might be replacing this with Cocytus Breath because this deck really does lack removal, and there is a specific yellow card that is an issue for Rookie Rush because it essentially prevents basically anything with no Digivolutions from actually attacking. So having Cocytus Breath might be better to replace these. But at the moment, this is what I have in the deck. These do come up, especially if your opponent has a ton of, like, let's say they have 2 blockers. You can swing 2 rookies into it and they won't die. But you will still at least maybe bait it out at least. Then, of course, for the green cards, we play 2 Flower Cannons because this card, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon on your turn, and then if they run into this, their turn's done. They can't do anything at that point. Then, of course, we run 2 Positron Lasers. This is really good in this deck specifically. In the other builds I've tried, this doesn't really synergize that well, but with blue-green, it works amazing because specifically if you were to stop 2 Digimon that your opponent has, if you have a blue in play, you're going to just send that one of those a suspended card back to their hand, and that's usually, I would say, about like 90% of the case you will get that second effect off, so you just plus from this and protect yourself for the next turn. And then finally, for the final card, we run 3 Davises because Davis is essentially the MVP for blue-green decks. I have seen people running like, I would say like cans and like a mix of like 2 of this and then 2 of cans, but like we're not going for the Pyodramon build. So this card, running into security, you can just plus and get like 2 rookies off of that. And of course, setting your memory to 3 just lets you just spam like 2, maybe 3 rookies if you really had enough memory with this to just spam the board and win the game. And of course, having this for the future, as most know that the new set is coming out, Digivolving on top of this will essentially net you another body. But for now, it's just our set 3 and our awesome search for 2 rookies, 1 blue and 1 green, which is always a plus. And then that's basically the deck. This deck does have issues at the moment, especially with the fact that most people are already kind of prepared for Rookie Rush. There are certain decks that this deck just hard loses to, especially Pure Black. Pure Black, this deck just auto loses. You will not recover up if you do not kill them by the time they get their second blocker. You essentially lose the match. If you're fighting, let's say, black, red, Ragnarlordmon, that's fine because they're focusing on getting Ragnarlord, so they won't be focusing on getting a blocker out. Maybe one max, so it won't be that big of an issue. Rookie Rush can usually salvage the duel between that. In most of the duels I've played against it, I've actually managed to essentially like win like 2 out of like the 3 matches most of the time, so it's not too bad. It is hard because they do run Volcanic Dramon in that, so you will have to be careful with that. Once you know that they have that, you have to start playing a little bit more conservatively. But aside from that, this deck works pretty well against most decks at the moment. As I said, the main issue is black. There is another issue with yellow blue, especially with them healing constantly with the security. But if you can put enough bodies on board and they can't wipe it, then you're just free and clear, and you basically win the match. And even if you get hit enough, you still have Magna Dramon for the game to recover for yourself. Um, but as I mentioned before, also, this deck does not have removal. So if you have removal, I would highly recommend it, especially blue removal. The best one is Cocytus Breath, so I would say probably replace these two for them. But I've been experimenting around, maybe mixing in maybe a little bit of red if you really want to run Gaia Force. Gaia Force is a solid card, but it's not that fantastic. Like, you have to run reds for that to happen. So at this point, Cocytus Breath is probably the best option. With the new set coming out, you will have more options, but at the moment, before that set comes out, probably the best to just do that. Anyway, thank you for watching. Subscribe and like the video, please, and I will see you next time for another deck profile. Peace out.